what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Arwin, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty, Plain Truth, and Spurs Chemo. How are you all doing, gentlemen?
Hola. Doing good.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Doing great. Good afternoon.
So yeah, Aaron, you were telling us, you showed us a video about this this rainbow and the sun.
Plain truth.
Yeah.
Would you mind?
Yeah, you were saying that the angular size of a rainbow does not seem to increase or decrease with distance. So I wanted you to explain how that applies to the sun.
Well, it for once it is of the same origin. So sunlight causes the rainbow, not other types of light. Sunbow causes it because of the what is the exact effect? Refraction, the breaking, the prismifying of the sunlight going through moist droplets, and that causes an apparent image at a set distance to the observer. And as you move, the rainbow will move with you, as long as in between you and the sunlight there is still enough moist droplets to keep on causing the prismatic effect that makes the rainbow appear at the set apparent distance.
Okay, so
and yeah, to continue on, that's just the explanation what a rainbow really is. But the sun, I am convinced myself, still no direct confirmation yet, but that the sun disk as we see it is kind of a similar effect to the apparent position of a rainbow, in the sense that I don't think that sun really comes from a disk literally radiating it like a lamp. I think that the sun is a focal point, an apparent image that we see like a sun disk that's very bright, but that it is just the
but
universal direction, the direction from which the sunlight comes.
Rainbows are the result of the sun and moisture.
Sunlight.
Yeah, so the sun.
Sunlight.
We would have to know what the result, of the sun. What elements are causing the sun to appear the way it does? Because we know what causes rainbows, right?
Well, probably the atmosphere has something to do with it, because the atmosphere in its different densities has an influence on it, a direct influence, as we've seen with lots of footage. As the sun is very close to the horizon, where the atmosphere should be the thickest and the largest amount of moist is present overall, it has an influence on the apparent size of the sun disk, as does it when the sun is at its highest point in the sky, and with high balloon footage. The appearance of the sun changes.
Yeah, but I just want to crack down on whether you think, the globers who believe they can measure the distance to the sun.
But that's nonsense.
That's what I want you to focus on, because
no, we don't.
I need more information.
We don't need to focus on their delusions.
Yeah, but you're just saying it's
a waste of time.
Delusion. Yeah, they're saying that they're able to measure the distance to the sun with geometry.
Yeah, they can't.
Now you're saying that they can't.
Yeah, they can't. They think they can, because they have the angular relations between the sun disk position in comparison to the location of the Earth, because there seems to be a correlating pattern there. And then they deduce about the angular position changes that there is some kind of literal position. They have no proof of the sun actually being at a set distance or being an actual object. So that's complete speculation. It is science fiction. They have no proof.
Well, yeah. I think we've asked that question before. How do they measure the sun? But I don't know, Anthony. How are they measuring the sun?
I was just trying to answer. I was just trying to ask a question. I know that I got background noise.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Arwen, I was going to ask, is that like saying that we can measure the distance of a rainbow? Is that the same idea?
No.
It's like,
No, it's impossible because it has no distance. It's not
That's what
a
I'm saying.
physical
That's what I'm
object.
saying.
It's an
It's a
apparent object.
it's an analogous. That's what I'm saying is
It's an anomaly.
we can measure the distance of the sun as much as we can measure the distance of a rainbow.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is.
You
I
could
think Arwen,
technically, from the eye of the
Arwen,
observer,
show
you
the
could
video.
measure
Show
what
that
it
video of the
seems to be the
rainbow so we
distance to the observer, but it is not literally there.
I'll show it. I'll show it. Just so we know what we're talking about and why we're talking about.
When you're pulling that up, I have another question. Then, so when we look at high altitude footage and we see the sun there, that's not the same phenomenon that we're looking at when we're looking through the atmosphere. So in the atmosphere, we're looking at the apparent sun, but at the high altitude, that's the actual, or is that still doing the phenomenon
You don't know
of
that.
apparent? Okay.
Now, that is speculation also, because you can only claim that it is really a physical object that is the origin of the real sun, whatever, when you actually get there, when you actually get some matter, when you actually basically shoot a sensor into the sun and see it melt away or whatever. It's never happened before. There is no proof, any proof whatsoever of sun physicality.
Okay. So I mean, again, I think we should show the video of why why we've been discussing this in the first place. A lot of people were like, "Why are they talking about rainbows and measuring the sun and whatnot?"
Yeah, it's the latest video by Taboo Conspiracy. It was very nice.
Yeah.
It also treated the let me get the word. The crepuscular rays issue, and apparently the statement that I made about them, and that is that when you look at crepuscular rays coming through clouds from a certain position, and you then move over several miles into another direction, and look at those same specific clouds that the first person has seen the crepuscular rays shine through, you will not see those same rays because the sun, the apparent sun, is in another position, unable to cause that prismatic effect. It is just like a rainbow. It is a prismatic type of effect. It is a holographic type of effect as the sun itself and the sun position. So they apparently went out on the field and confirmed it. At least that is what the video suggests, and I was astonished by this. I always had wanted to do this myself, but don't really have any cameras, don't have a lot of traveling opportunities
so we're just gonna look at the first,
so it's awesome.
Arwen, because I really want to take this home about the measuring of the sun. This is one of their biggest go-tos that, they've been able to measure the sun. They know the distance they use.
Are you talking about globers again?
Yeah. So I want to kind of, bring it home that whether we can measure the sun or not. Is it
We
something
can't.
that they're able to
I already told you, we can't.
I know, but I want you to kind of, elaborate on why. So this video, you showed this video this morning. You were saying, you said the angular size of a rainbow.
Why? It's very simple. You can't confirm a literal position. You can't confirm the distance or actual size because it is elusive. If you chase the sun, it will always stay away from you.
All right, so
you
just
can't catch up on it. You can't get the literal position. It is impossible.
I wonder, is it the same for the moon then? Because this is one of the
Yes, it is the same for the moon.
This is one of the topics where I actually do agree with you on. The sun is some kind of focal point for a concentration of light, in the same way that a magnifying glass can magnify the light down to a little circular spot on the floor that's bright white.
Yeah, well, sort of. It's not exactly what I meant, because then you're suggesting that the light actually is not parallel. And I think that the sunlight is parallel. Keep back chat. I think the sunlight is pretty much parallel.
I know.
The focal point is just the angular center point, basically, from the direction of which the sunlight is coming in relation to your position.
Arwin.
How I know.
Arwin. So, for example, just so I can get an understanding of this, so you're saying we're seeing that the this rainbow, it doesn't change in angular size. So, if we went to the moon, for example, and saw the sun, or you know, if we went above the atmosphere or got close to the sun, are you saying that we would get the same number, the same
No,
result?
you can't get close to the sun.
No, I just mean if
I'd like to see you try.
No, I don't mean that. What we're seeing here is that as we get closer to this rainbow, it doesn't change in angular size, is what they said, yeah?
But it's not getting closer to the rainbow.
Well, this is what
That's
I'm
the
trying to
whole
find
point.
out.
The rainbow stays in the exact same apparent distance. It doesn't change position. You're not getting closer. The rainbow is not growing bigger. It stays at the same set apparent distance.
Can I just intersect and give a massive, huge thanks to Vinegar Strokes for the donation? I know Nathan isn't around at the minute to say it, so huge shout out to Vinegar Strokes there.
Oh, and just a shout out to E.T. Billy who asked me to shout him out. But yeah,
Hang on. Why would you
shout him out, but don't let him in
Hang on a minute. Why would you shout out Billy E2?
Because he asked me to.
Are you a terrorist pacifier?
No. What is he? Is he an enemy of the?
Yeah, he's a prick.
He's a sniper.
Oh, is he? I had
Yeah.
no idea. Okay, retract that shout out then in that case.
Shout out retracted. Thank you.
Shout out retracted. Yes. I had no idea.
Yeah, he's a moron.
But okay, so Armin, let's kind of get this home because I'm going to be taking this forward about the measurements of the sun. They tell us, we can measure the sun.
Yeah, but they don't tell us.
For you just to say, oh well, they can't do it. It's not possible. I don't think it's going to cut it, right? They're going to want to know why we can't measure the sun.
I explained it. I explained exactly why in detail just before. So.
Because it's not a physical entity, it's a holographic or a projection of some kind.
Shout out to Awake Souls for subbing my channel today. Much appreciated. Thanks very much.
No, shout out retracted.
No, he did actually sub to my channel today.
I know, yeah, but he's not having a shout out for it.
Yeah, he might as well.
Can we shout out JJ?
Yeah, we can shout out okay people, but we're not shouting out morons. Shout out to Sean Hufford. I mean, shout out retracted.
But I mean, interestingly enough, what I was doing, I was speaking with a couple of Globers, asking them what they would consider magic on a flat Earth. So I'm just trying to comprise a list.
Magic is that which you do not understand.
No, I don't think it's magic.
I
think it's just an equation where they haven't worked out because like gravity would have been considered magic before the likes of Newton, Einstein with their equations and so on.
No,
so
but gravitational pull is an illusion. Gravity is just what they assumed is the downward acceleration force. I still like to call it gravity because it's easier.
Okay. Well, no, I'm just interested. I'm interested in how they would work it out, how they would know the distance of the sun. They come up with 90. Okay, let's suppose, like you said, they say it's 93 million miles away. Are you saying that?
It's model.
Are you saying, Arwin? Are you saying that
they assume
Arwin,
is based
Arwin,
on
please.
their model?
But I'm saying that if they were to get closer to the sun, it would stay 93 million miles.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. That's what it seems to be. Because you'll say that as you get closer to the sun, the rainbow.
No, I'm not saying get closer to the sun. I said try to get closer to the sun, and you'll find out that it's impossible. You can't get closer to the sun.
No. Hypothetically, I'm saying from Earth, it's 93 million miles away, right? So if you were to leave Earth and go closer to the sun, I'll be saying that the distance would remain the same. They would get the same numbers. Yes? Do you follow what I mean?
I don't get what you're trying to say, really.
You don't quite get me. Well, the rainbow doesn't change as you get closer to the rainbow. Yes?
You don't get closer to the rainbow. That's the whole point.
So like I'm saying, if you were to get closer to the sun, not saying that you can, but the number 93 million wouldn't change. So you would still get those results.
Well,
Which
not if you were on another planet. If you went on Mars, you'd be closer, right?
You would get
So
a
you-
different number. That's what I'm trying
Well,
to find out.
yeah, you would guess you would. I mean, you would have to suppose you would, but that's the same thing we're talking about. They don't
Yeah.
know.
Hey, and besides, another point, even according to the heliocentrists, the sun is not a consistent 33 million miles away, even by their own system, because
93, yes.
yeah, no, but it isn't, because the pattern of the circle of the Earth that is supposed to be going around the sun is not actually a circle. It is an ellipse. So the distance between the Earth and the sun, according to the heliocentric theory,
Mhm.
is vastly varying. A lot.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
has
well,
to.
yeah,
it
I'm
has to,
satisfied.
according to the
Thank you,
who was it?
Marvin.
It was a certain theory
Mhm.
of orbits, basically, and so it has to. It can't be. It's not moving in a perfect circle around the sun, even by the heliocentric standards. It's moving in an ellipse.
Mhm,
So the
mhm.
sun is not consistently 93 million miles away. It is varying a great deal. Huge.
Okay, so I'll leave you. I think Alan's here now. He's a baller. He may know how they actually, get the distance. And yeah, thank you, Warren. That was great. Cheers.
I had a massive debate with what's his name, Jeremy, and with about I can't remember who the other person was, Jeremy and somebody, about the distance to the sun. And you would expect that argument to be pegged easily, and there still is no evidence for where they get the 93 million miles from. They claim it's application of Kepler's third law on the interplanetary motions, and there's a cross-reference between all of them, and basically it gives you a scale, but the ballers interpret that to mean it gives you the distance. And when you look up the part where it comes to the distance, it says things like, it is accepted that, the current thinking is that, we deduced that, but it doesn't actually say somebody measured something. And that's the problem. But ballers accept this weakened, diluted phraseology as proof. And I look at that and now realize that isn't proof of anything. That is basically science by consensus. It's 93 million miles because we all say so and there's nothing you can do about it. And they all accept it and just refuse to accept that that's weak.
It's the X in their math model. They just insert the number and it's set.
That is basically science by consensus. It's 93 million miles because we all say so.
Go on, Jay.
Turn off your volume.
Accept it and just
Jay.
refuse to accept that.
It's the X in their math.
All right, he can be muted until he sorts out his watch page. You should know better, Jay. Anyway.
Yeah, mute your YouTube page when you come on.
So, are we done with the rainbows and something, or are we still on it?
Well, I think I explained most of it.
Because I know Ranty wants to address a video that's been made by...
Well, you don't know who it's been made by yet, do we? But can you present me, Nathan?
He will be presenting you. Just go. He said, just go on, even though you don't get an acknowledgement. Just go on as though you are being presented, because he's got stuff going on in the background.
Well, can you tell me if I'm being presented on the show? Because I can't see right now.
He just said accept that you will be being presented, because he is listening. He's just not concentrating properly or whatever. So just carry on.
Right. Okay.
Is it in focus, Ranty?
I've actually just figured out why. Yeah, so I'm being presented, right? Okay. I've actually just figured out why you guys aren't seeing it as clear as you should be, and that's because my monitor is a 720p, and the footage is filmed in. It's filmed in 1080. So I've actually bought a TV. I've got to pick it up from Tesco Direct tomorrow. So I've got a 1080 on the way. So hopefully you'll see it in all its clarity as of Sunday onwards, really.
Shout out to the lads that are in Vinegar Strokes' house cleaning their oven. They're wondering what the hell she's listening to. The earth's flat, guys. So whilst you're cleaning your oven, just be thinking about how flat and level those wire mesh grills are. That's the horizon that you see every time you go to the beach.
Right, now, you guys know how many times I've presented windmills in daytime, nighttime, from Blackpool, hundreds. But for some reason, we have another flat earther in the debate who thinks that this observation and other observations, when you see the Isle of Man and such, aren't actually real. They're layered, masked, clearly faked, or for whatever reason. So he wanted me to play the video that I did a few days ago, 3rd of June, from from Blackpool, looking at these wind turbines. So I'm just going to play it through now because he did a little video about me on this, and he said that this one and this one were all faked, can't be real due to perspective, except the difference is that these wind turbines, these big ones that are in a line, are 8.5 miles different to the ones behind. That's the difference. And he can't understand why it appears that the blades are touching the water. So he clearly thinks that this is faked, and I'm trying to sort of like stick up for the ball, and I'm a fake flat earth and I'm not real. So,
Great demonstration of curvature there.
Who is that?
perspective, my friend. But, well, hang on. I'm still presenting Anna, so I don't want you to...
But someone came in, Ranty, and we had to kick him.
All right, okay. So here we have another flat earther, P900 Coolpix. She filmed from Blackpool looking at the Isle of Man. And again, we see the Isle of Man. What also we see is what appears to be the turbines fanning the water, which in his little mind, he thinks is impossible. He thinks that the turbine should never, ever touch the water or appear to touch the water. But look at this. This is from a different flat earther showing the realities of perspective on a flat plane. And this is what happens. He seems to think this isn't real.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then
Yeah.
she's faking it too, and it must be
Yeah,
massive
mate.
as well. Hey? I can hear you. So anyway, that's that part. And lastly, I want to address a couple of images. This one here. You're seeing this?
Yeah.
Right. How real is he? Does he look real?
That's sat behind a green screen, isn't it?
Yeah, well, let's see if we can blur him out, because what he did on his video, he adjusted the gamma rate. Sorry, he adjusted the contrast to maximum, then adjusted the gamma rays and was able to bleach out the wind turbines, right? So let's see what we do when we just do a little... hang on.
Hello.
Let's see what happens when we do a little bit of brightness and contrast. Let's see what happens to this dude.
You're not drunk
Right.
today, he was.
Well, where's he gone? What's happened there, Anthony?
Me? No. Are you?
No, just making sure.
Do you think he's real? Have I just bleached him out? Is he actually there? Just by whacking the contrast up and adjusting the brightness? See, we can all play that game. We can all play that game. What about this dude here then? Adjustments, brightness and contrast. Let's see what happens when we do it to this guy. Oh, he's gone. So he's not real.
He's Photoshopped because he has to.
Oh, look at this. What's this? What's this? What's he symbolizing here? What is he?
It's Illuminati eye.
What's this? Does anybody know?
To be honest, Ranty, I don't think you even need to justify yourself on this point, because
Yeah, no, I'm just proving the point that, you know, essentially this was Sandra when she did hers, when she did the layers. So if we do what he did and we just do the, I think it's the levels.
Let me put it in context, Ranty. Not even Alan thinks that you've faked your footage.
This is adjusting the gamma, right? So when you adjust the gamma, it bleaches out everything pretty much. You know, especially when you're looking at turbines some 15, 16 miles away and you're not up close to them. So I just wanted to just show that we can all go around making videos and say that this person is this and this person is this. Look, I've just pulled a fucking Illuminati eye out of yours just by adjusting your contrast. Does that mean that you're an Illuminati spy? Does it?
I don't know. You're the conspiracists.
Ranty,
Yeah, I know.
we all know they're a pair of dicks.
Yeah, we know. Anyway, that's my rant over. So what have we got? Has anyone got any footage today?
Well, didn't you have something to say about non-Simon Dan?
Oh, I only watched half his video. He tried to say that, from what I can gather, he's trying to get some credibility back by making his observation, making it out that the observation that I did, matching everything up, wasn't correct. So I watched half of it and I got bored.
Ranty, you didn't lose any credibility.
No, I don't think so. I think that Simon Dan
You shouldn't even feel touched by what he does. He accuses everyone and everything.
I think Simon Dan
He's a
is
slanderer, and he's a fake flat earther and a false prophet. And he'd be better off just being completely ignored.
Yeah, I agree. So let's not talk about him. And with regards to non-Simon Dan, I think it's fair to say that non-Simon Dan can't accept when he's been proven to be wrong. His overlay was wrong. Ranty's destruction and demolition of his overlay was accurate, and he still defends his position, but based on nothing. There's nothing new in his video as far as I could see. I didn't watch it. I just scanned through it, listened to the key point, and I was like, that's ridiculous. Simon Dan, you're an embarrassment to science. You're a moron.
What else? Tried to do some video footage this morning, but it was the weather looked great. Said it was a good visibility got down there. It was all bleached out, completely whitewashed again. It was the chemtrails that they did yesterday and today. Couldn't see a thing.
All right, mate.
Couldn't even see the wind turbines.
Can you hear me?
No, we can't hear you.
Hello?
I just realised he's not actually a person. He's a bot of some kind.
Is he? No, he's not.
All right, mate.
I don't know how we can. I don't even see him in the chat. Do you see him in the chat, Nick? Aaron? Maybe I need to refresh my page.
Well, I'm in the chat, mate.
Huh?
I'm in the chat, mate.
Oh, and do you see what I don't see?
You're just not good at an avatar, mate.
I don't know what you're seeing.
Well, I'm not seeing him in the side chat, so to kick him, I can't see him in there at all. Do you see him?
Oh, would you? Oh, mate.
Why would you want
Really?
to kick him? He might have something there.
Well, we can tell by his voice who it is.
You mean Jonathan?
What's the name? Let's have a look.
I don't see Jonathan in there.
No, that's what I mean.
Let's go.
How's he done that? That's new.
Maybe it was a tape recording.
What do you think about this? Well, Anthony, I noticed you was in ISIS chat last night. How did it work out with the perspective argument over there? Because you was debating Gem, weren't you?
That was the night before. The perspective argument. I can't remember what Jeremy was saying about perspective. Oh, he was just dismissing it. He was dismissing it, but I mean, I don't know where to go on this, because at the end of the day, the bottom line is the Metabunk curve calculator is accurate insofar as the geometry and the claim of the standard refraction nonsense. However, it's the issue that people don't get their head around, and Jeremy can't get his head around, or does but refuses to tell the truth about it. You can interpret which you want. Is that when we apply the hidden value, we always apply it against the full height of the mountain at 1,000 feet at 30 miles. Well, 1,000 feet. But we should be applying it against the 1,000 feet mountain at 30 miles rather than the 1,000 foot. And it appears, in my opinion, that that's not happening, because it's omitted on the Metabunk site. So it's not that he's not doing it and he should do it. It's that he's not doing it. He probably should do it, but he's not doing it. And if he's not going to do it, that's fine. But he should at least tell us that objects in the distance appear smaller than they actually are, because then that would make you think about what size should it be at 30 miles, and then you'd have to go into the angular size calculators and test it. But even if you did that, let's just say for argument's sake that the Metabunk thing and the application of was accurate and it was right, then you're left with, then does it match what we see in real world? And it doesn't match anyway. So it's like, well, I'm not quite sure where to go with this one, because I can see that something's wrong, but I don't know what's wrong with it, and I'm trying to work it out. But I was talking with Chris Monk and Quantum Eraser last night, and they made me, after the conversation, it dawned on me that what it appears that they're doing, you know, when we had the composite and we compared it to the land that I saw lay on my beach on the belly, and it was flattened. It appears that what they're doing is they're using that flattening factor, which is perspective, the convergence on a flat plane, but they're calling it the hidden value. That's what I think is actually happening. So it's not matching the real world, but it's not that far wrong, because we know that things do flatten as they get towards the horizon because of what we call convergence, and there is no explanation for why that would do that on a sphere. So I think that's what's actually happening. I think that they're using that flattening factor and calling it hidden. And that's why Simon Dan is refusing to back down, because we can see that image that he's using is flattened. It doesn't match. It doesn't match Al-K's first image. because it appears to be squashed. It appears to be far wider at the bottom than the height suggests it should be. And that's why you're getting the impression that the bottom 40 feet's missing. But I don't actually think it is. I think the bottom 40 feet or 50 feet or whatever it is that's missing, that is actually there, but it's just being flattened because of the convergence of living on a flat plane. But that's being co-opted to be the hidden value. So what they're saying is flattened is actually hidden that on their model, and that's what I think is actually happening. I've got to do a bit more thinking about it first and get it and try and find a way to word it or demonstrate what I mean. Because at the moment, I mean, most people don't understand the point I'm making anyway. So it's like, how am I going to explain something that people don't really understand? But that's what I think is happening. They're co-opting the convergence and calling it hidden. Anyway, still a work in progress.
If only we had some wind turbines that we could measure things back against.
Alky.
Oh wait, we do.
Is it Alky or is it Alky?
We like the way you say it.
Alky. I know, but Alky is in alcoholic. Seems to be a play on words, a bit like, you know, like Red's rhetoric, dangerous rhetoric. Anyway, how are you doing this wonderful evening?
It's close to midnight for me, but good. Good.
I've been seeing some of your comments against me in some of the videos recently.
Against who?
Me.
Which ones were they? I've been commenting a lot.
He said Riley is on the Mick West one. He said Riley is something like off his cake or something like that. He said, and I got the impression it meant that you thought that I was crazy. I can't remember which one it is. I'll have to find it out now. If you give me 10 minutes, I'll come back to you with it. Like to see. I'd just like to know what the translation was in Australian to English.
Or English to Australian.
Well, Australian to English in this case.
Waz, I'm curious about whether or not you can see the moon right now, because I'm in the U.S. on the East Coast, and it's up in the sky at the same time as the sun is. So I'm curious as to whether or not you can see it where you're at.
How high up in the sky?
Give us a minute. I'll go outside.
How high up in the sky is it for you?
Well, I'm driving right now, so all I did was look at my Skyview app, and I could see where it was telling me where it was. But if I were to guess, I would say it's probably about 50 degrees.
All right. Okay.
I mean, it's up there.
I would say no, we couldn't see it. Then that would be too high.
I know. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm trying to see it, but there's a house in my way.
Look around the house then.
Do you have clear skies?
I can't get around that side.
Do you have clear skies?
I'll have to go out the front of the house.
I'm gonna go ahead and predict that it's not gonna be up in your sky, Waz.
I want to tell
9
you.
p.m.
I want to say that I've actually gone out and had a look.
I had the same situation last month. I made the same observation, and I had a friend in Australia, and he took a picture, and he had the moon. Same time. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning for him.
I'm standing out on the street. There's no moon here, guys.
Whereabouts in Australia are you? Are you on the east coast?
I'm in Melbourne.
How close to the east or west are you?
Melbourne is on the east coast, but on the south. Excuse me while I...
Yeah, I wonder whether you'd see it
the
on the
dog
west
shit.
coast. Maybe it's just out of your perspective or around the curve, whichever.
The west coast is about 2,000 kilometres away from me.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the difference. Oh, Spurs, are you still here?
Nope, he's gone.
Oh, when did
No moon tonight for me. Plenty of stars though.
The moon's gonna.
So what was the problem with measuring the sun?
It's not a tangible object. It's like a rainbow.
Does it have to be?
Well, yeah, kind of, because you can't chase a rainbow, can you?
No, I'm not asking about rainbows.
No, but can you measure where a rainbow is in relation to your perspective, or is it just different for everybody?
It's the sun's got nothing to do with rainbows. It just creates them.
It appears to be directly comparable to a rainbow. In the sense that you can't calculate where a rainbow is, because every time you try chasing it, it disappears, it gets further away all the time. The sun appears to be doing the exact same thing.
You know, a rainbow looks circular above it.
So how can you separate the sun from the rainbow?
Well, the sun does
they
have
appear to be the same. You say they appear to be the same, but how can you separate them?
In terms of the ability to like describe them, I'm saying that the rainbow and the sun have got similar attributes in that they are not physical entities; they are manifestations caused by something else. They're not. Well, put it this way: the sun's not a big ball of molten helium, hydrogen, whatever we're told by science.
Okay, let's go with that. Let's say it's not, but it's not that. What's the moon?
I don't know what the moon is. For me, the moon is proof of creation. I believe it's been put there to prove that it is the world that we live in is created, because the moon.
You know, if this was if I was saying this about the globe and Nathan was here, I'd probably be shouted down and kicked out by now, coming up with these ideas. But all that aside, would you agree that the sun tracks across the sky at a very similar angle and size all day, apart from when it hits the horizon?
Yeah, bit like a disco ball, right?
Yeah.
When a disco ball spins around, it creates a represented light on the wall, and it can't.
So why can't we take that angular size as it tracks through the day and work out things from that?
You can do that, but you still wouldn't have any proof because you don't have a literal distance. You just have angular relations. I've been saying this
I agree.
hundreds of times.
I could take an angular size of the rainbow was, and you could take an angular size of the same rainbow and believe that a rainbow is tangible, right? Does that make it true?
I'm not talking about rainbows.
I am talking about rainbows. It's the same thing.
Well, they're completely different.
How are they different?
Well, the sun's there all the time, no matter on the atmospheric condition. A rainbow isn't.
Well, no, the sun isn't there all the time, is it? Half the time it's behind the clouds. You can't see it.
Well, the rainbow isn't there all the time.
Sure, but my point is similar. My point is that the sun and the rainbows are non-physical entities. That's the way.
My point is they're not similar. You shouldn't compare them.
And Anthony, my contention would be that the ballers would say, well, we know what causes rainbows. That's why I said to Arwin.
Right, but
I'm saying that telling me I said things that I didn't say.
Right, you were comparing the. I've lost my point now. You said. I can't remember.
There's a lot of points.
Well, we can create rainbows and prisms. So it's not the sun per se, right? It's light.
No, I'm talking about a rainbow in the sky. I know you can create rainbow. I know you can create rainbows in different ways. So I'm talking about the rainbow that you see in the sky. And that's
the
what we're
same
both
color
talking
pattern.
about.
It is not a rainbow. You can.
Guys, we're talking about what we see in the sky, right?
Color patterns from a prism, but a prism does not create the same effect as what a rainbow is.
Well,
you can't create the
we're talking
apparent
about what's in
rainbow
the sky
effect using a prism. It's just going to be projected onto a surface showing the same color patterns. It's not a rainbow. It's just the same colors.
That's what I wanted to bring
up. What we see in the sky is or isn't a rainbow?
That is a rainbow. When you shine light through a prism, it does not create a rainbow.
Incoming friendly, don't kick.
Yeah.
That was where we got to. I said that you can recreate a sun with a magnifying glass, and then you said, "Yeah, but you need the sun." And I'm like, "Yeah, but what's to say that the sun is the beginning of the focal light, the beginning of the light? What if the sun is the receiver?"
Can you do that same? Can you do that same thing with the magnifying glass with the moon?
Yeah, you can focal point. You can focal the light from the moon to a focal point on the ground. Yes,
And cool
Yeah.
something with it.
you can.
Can you do it with the stars?
I was just about to ask that. But then you would have to get close enough to the stars to pick up something, right?
The stars are just not bright enough to be able
Yeah,
to.
my whole point.
Could.
My whole point is that you can track the sun across the sky throughout the day, and
Right,
you can
but my
see that
point
its
is
angular size doesn't change that much.
My
So
my
why
point is
can't
that
we
you can't
use?
prove
Why?
it's
Hang
physical.
on, that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. We can track its angular size through the sky throughout the day, and we can see it doesn't change much.
Right, but if I had a Batman logo flying into the sky,
so we
I
can
can track that too. What does it prove?
So we can get an idea then from when the sun sets, it shines on the bottom of the clouds. When it rises, it shines on the bottom of the clouds. And as it tracks through the day, it doesn't change its size much. So we can use all that observation and get an idea of how high the sun should be in comparison to the clouds for it to do that to the clouds, and also get an idea.
No,
Why
that's
not?
a false statement.
Why not? I'm not stating it. I'm just saying we should be able to.
Sense of its height. The only thing you got is an angular position and angular speed. It's all angles. That's the only thing you really have.
Yep. And we can use those angles to get an approximation of where it should be.
No.
All right.
No, you
so
can't.
let me ask a question. Let me ask a
Because
question.
you don't have a literal distance. You don't have a literal position.
And also,
That's
Ruth
right.
makes that same point. If you get a third observer looking at the sun, then you can tell its exact distance. But if you get a third person observing the sun, the angles don't work out at all. So that's a misguided perception by Ruhif. But it applies right now.
Why don't they work out?
All right, let me throw this out just real quick, because this is what makes sense to me, even if I'm not right, but it makes sense to me, okay? Imagine we're in the desert looking out and we see a helicopter in the distance. We see it moving and then we see it stop. I'm asking you can you then triangulate and tell me how high it is and how far away it is based on that?
Oh, if I was good at maths and angles, I probably could, but I'm not. So, but
you
you'd be able to get it.
You can.
No,
but
but
you can figure out the. No, you can triangulate a
hold on.
helicopter in the
Was.
sky because you know.
Arwin, hold on a second,
size.
because what has just said something here this has been the problem. You're saying that you're sure somebody could, you're just going to rely on that person to give you the numbers. Yes?
Yeah, because I don't have the time or the inclination to study it properly and
The
understand
helicopter
it
has gone
myself.
away from you. Would you be able to measure it in the same way you're talking about measuring the sun? And now you're saying, well, I'm sure somebody could. But
No.
what? What?
What?
Well, that doesn't make sense. You're supposed to say, yeah, of course I could. Exactly the same way that we measure the sun. I would just do it like this, and you're saying that I would need somebody to tell me the numbers, the distance of that helicopter.
You can get a size of it, I'm sure. Look, like I said, if I studied it, I could probably work it out. But it's not.
But
I'm
you can't
52
get the
years old. I'm
size,
not
Vin.
going back to school, so
Yeah, all
I
you
do
can-
have to put trust into people that have studied it. Have you studied it? Can you do it?
The answer to your question is you would only be able to work it out if you knew its actual size. And if you didn't know its actual size, you would never know how far away it is. You would know its scale, but you would.
And that's what I thought he was going to say. If we know its actual size, of course, because that's what they do with the sun. So, I'm surprised that you're just accepting information of just the mainstream. Like you just said, I just trust them, so they tell me. I thought you. I thought you had your own.
Zoom in on the helicopter, and you can identify it and look up its size by its design specs. Then yes, you can triangulate it.
Yeah, but you wouldn't
If
be
that-
able to know because you don't know the distance.
Yeah,
Armin.
but
You
don't
wouldn't
they
know
use
the
other
distance.
Figure that
information?
out.
What happens if the helicopter never changes size as it goes past us?
That
What
doesn't
then?
make any
We
sense.
know its size.
Well, the rainbow doesn't change its
Well,
size.
that's what the sun does. The
Well,
sun
it's
does that. We
Yeah,
can
but
observe that.
The
the
rainbow
sun-
doesn't change its size.
Guys,
Don't they use other information to get the size of the sun? Not just in the case of the helicopter, there would have to be another object, maybe even other objects that have relationship with the helicopter.
I'm
in
coming
order
from
for
a
it to-
flat Earth perspective here.
if they did use other information, they've not been able to tell us what that information is. It's accepted that, or they've deduced that it is. Or
an example of the sun, they've also done first observations on the moon and other objects in the sky, and are able to correlate its size and distance in relationship to those objects as well. So it's not just it wouldn't just be one object that you have to sit there and take a look at and observe. So it's like kind of bouncing the information off this other observations and their relationship to one another.
Yeah, but then we'd actually have to trust those people that said they were over there at those planets using their satellites or whatever to do these measurements. I don't really trust those people that say that they were there. So, no.
Yeah, the one thing I left out that I didn't think about was that it was at night and we could see the light of the helicopter. So we saw it move and we saw it stand still. We knew then that it was a helicopter, but all we could see was the light. We wouldn't know the distance. We wouldn't know the altitude. We couldn't figure it out.
If
Guys,
there was another object
guys.
out there that maybe the light from the helicopter was shining off of.
If the helicopter went over our heads, every single day for all of recorded history, and it never changed size, fine. But it does. We're talking about the sun, not helicopters.
Right, but again, a rainbow will not change its apparent size if you try chasing it. You
won't have a rainbow without the sun.
Right, I used to say that the sun is the start of the light that the rainbow receives to get it. What if the sun is?
I'm not saying it is.
Right, so your point.
I don't care.
Yeah, the point's irrelevant though. What I'm saying is that the angular size of a rainbow does not change no matter where you are. It's a perception based on some element of a projection or a manifestation. How is the sun?
I don't think you're getting it.
Have you got any evidence that the sun is physical? Yes or no?
It does have consequences that rainbows don't have. Like we can get data from it and we can get energy from it directly.
So
only when it's
real
overhead.
Does it mean it's physical?
Oh, it would mean that whatever whatever direction we see or whatever position it seems to be in the sky is important to get direct energy or direct evidence directly from it. So it's hard to say if that would mean it's physically there, but if it was not physically there, you'd have to kind of then wonder where does that energy come from and where does that information come from, because we like the energy that we get from it is a real physical entity that
that doesn't make it physical. Just because it manifests itself in a way that we accept that it's physical doesn't make it physical. How do you prove physicality?
You can take a picture of it.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, taking a picture of something doesn't prove physicality, Alan.
Yeah, of course it matters. The sun needs to be a tangible object in the heliocentric model. It can't be anything else. But how do you prove its tangibility?
I'm not talking about a heliocentric model. I'm talking about if I lived on a flat Earth. I think that's where the wires are getting crossed.
If you live,
I'm looking at it from a flat Earth perspective.
I don't care what perspective you're looking at it. We have to establish the facts first, and we can't establish any of the facts with the sun. How did it? The most basic.
No, not true, Nathan. We can establish its angular relationships.
Wash that mouth out.
No, but you're wrong. We can establish angular relationships.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, well then you know exactly what to do, but if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it and subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!